Hey everybody, Brett Tadlock, TNArtist here. So I hope you're having a fantastic day, evening, morning, whatever it is, wherever you're at. Hope it's all going great. So I need to do a little series just for the fun of it. You know, I've been painting for a long time, and it's funny when I started recording videos on YouTube, and then later on Patreon and so forth. I almost weekly get the Bob Ross comparison, especially as I started using software that captured more texture and captured more of a painterly look, the look that I would normally do with a traditional brush. And I started getting the comparison. So, which I take it as a high compliment, trust me. I mean, the guy definitely brought painting to the masses. He may not know this. He actually learned the technique from Bill Alexander, who was also another PBS painter. I watched him. I watched Bob, and I watched Jerry Yarnell, and then a couple others that names escape me right now. But I love watching PBS type stuff on Saturday mornings as a kid. It was funny. I would watch cartoons, and then I'd watch Bob Ross paint and Bill Alexander paint. And then later Bill got bumped to the evenings, and then I would watch it with a friend of mine, and we loved it because Bill was always like, "You have to fire it in there," because he was this wonderful Austrian. And anyway, he was great at it. But his stuff was much more impressionistic. Bob Ross started off much more impressionistic, and then he became kind of what we all know now from his stuff, the eye of a wave and kind of that look. But he definitely brought everything to the masses, and so I've loved painting like him, and then other impressionistic painters as I went on to study art and go through painting classes and so forth. Always been kind of an influence though. And so I know a lot of people are trying to paint that way digitally. And that's why I even made some of my brushes, was so that people could get that look, and so that I could get some of that look that you would get with a brush or with a palette knife and that kind of stuff. So I wanted to do a fun little series just for the heck of it, to kind of help people realize that if they use something like Rebelle 8 or Rebelle 8 Pro or 5 or 6 or 7, whichever, or even Art Rage, somewhat with other ones like Photoshop or Procreate, you can get a similar look. You won't be able to get the texture per se, but you can get kind of a similar look with those. And I wanted to kind of play around with that and go over some of that stuff. So I thought, hey, why don't we reproduce some of his paintings? And not necessarily trying to make exact copies, but trying to get the same kind of a feel and a vibe for it. And so I thought I would pick some of them. I even had the ambitious thing of saying, what if I did every one of them? That could take a minute. There's quite a few. So I'm going to pick some from kind of early, some as they progress through it. I forget how many seasons he had. I want to say 30 something. Anyway, I'd have to look it up. But there's a lot, to say the least. So I thought maybe do some of his, maybe some of Bill Alexander's, and that kind of stuff, so that way you can get kind of a feel for it and see how to use it. I'm going to use some of my brushes that I have over here to kind of get that replication of it, and then kind of start with it. So I figured the first one I'm going to start off with is A Walk in the Woods, which was Bob Ross's first painting, season 1, episode 1 of his stuff. I'll put the link to the video in with this video so you can see it, but this is the painting. This is what it looks like. He's got some of those blown out colors. He had like 8 colors that he would use. So like crimson red, cad yellow, phthalo green, phthalo blue, white, and anyway, so he would have those and he would make these paintings. So we're going to do a similar kind of thing to this, but it's great to watch those videos, because if you go back and watch this first one, for example, not only does he thank Bill Alexander for kind of passing off the brush to him, and there's actually a later on one where Bill literally passes the brush off to him. Apparently they were friends for a while, but for some reason had a falling out. Rumors had it that because Bill got jealous of how popular Bob got, and was able to break through to mainstream type stuff, whereas Bill wasn't, possibly because of his accent and everything else. Anyway, there was some animosity there, unfortunately, later on in life. But there is a video where he quite literally passed it off. And in the first episode, Bob thanks Bill for teaching him how to do all of this stuff and how to learn it. And he's like, he even acknowledges, this probably looks familiar. You've probably seen it before because Bill Alexander, and I learned it from him, and that kind of stuff. So I thought it was interesting to kind of know that. Bob tended to paint on a 18 by 24 canvas, so I've got it set up over here for that. Let me move this out of the way. I'm going to put it up on another monitor that I have over here so I can kind of off screen. And anyway, so he had an 18 by 24 canvas, which is what I have here. And I've got it set to the canvas color. I've got a little bit off-white on it. It was the natural. It's honestly the base setting for it. I didn't change anything. I've got just the generic colors over here as well. You know, as far as that goes, you could change some of them, and you could change around some of the different color sets and so forth if you wanted to. So if you wanted to have the color names, you can have those through here. This one just will show you the hex codes for it. But if you wanted to switch on one of them, you could do that. We could definitely do that as well. So let's say, for example, we wanted to go something kind of smaller with the colors as far as the crayons, or if we wanted something a little bit softer, we could do that. Then you've got the metallics and the oil pigments and that kind of stuff. And I think the oil pigments actually has the colors here, so let's go with that one, because we can use some of those colors as well, because it's got the different ones. The color with this one has cad yellow and crimson. Let's go with this one. So we'll have that. I'm going to turn, let's say, recent colors, and that one, leave this one, and we'll leave that one. So that way you can kind of see what colors I'm picking, and then I might play around up here. Don't have a whole lot of layers going on at the moment, so we'll just kind of leave this smaller. Don't even need the tilt right now because we're not going to use that. So we can just get rid of it. Basically it would show us another smaller version of the but I've got this on another screen, so I'm not going to bother. Just give us a little bit more space over here. Okay, so let's kind of lay into what we're doing. Like I said, I'll put the original video up so that way you guys can watch it. I'm going to do this how I would paint this with my brushes and so forth. So we're going to start off with, now we can color pick from the painting that we have the reference, but I'm going to, for right now, just kind of go with what we have. So I'm going to grab this cobalt turquoise, to the fill. I'm just going to fill that. Grab the cerulean blue. Maybe add some white to it. A little bit. There we go. Maybe something like that. Now I'm going to grab this circle, and I'm going to draw a circle and press shift, and that'll give me a perfect circle. Get it kind of laid out. Our horizon line is, well, let's look at our horizon line. So if you look here with Bob's, it's about, not half. Half would be right about here. So just below half is about where the horizon line is. So going across there. So we'll go with that. Ooh, not sure what just happened there. Well, that was weird. There we go. Oh, I see what happened. Hang on, 2 seconds. So apparently when I was trying to drag this up, I grabbed it here, which lets you stretch this window, and I just stretched it up vertically. Anyway, haven't done that before. I was trying to avoid where the camera is on my screen, so I wouldn't mess up the recording. Dragging this up here. So one of the fun things about it, if you go watch that video with Bob Ross, you can hear people talking in the background. There's even one spot where somebody goes, yes! You can hear it sounds like people moving dishes around or something in the background. Later episodes from, like, I think maybe still season 1 or season 2, you can hear where they're playing music on a boombox off to the side and stuff. So it's hilarious. Anyway, I've got my circle here. I'm going to use these two dots right here to be kind of where my horizon line are. And like I said, it's a little below half, so we'll put it right there. And then I'm going to go back to my fill, which is really just L. And come back up here to my yellows, and with CAD yellow, do Control D, and I'm going to press M to get back to my circle, and Shift and circle again. Bring it up here to about where the middle is, more or less. Hit Enter. I'm going to grab the next CAD yellow there and press L for my fill bucket. Control D, M to the middle, Naples yellow, L, fill, D. Come back over here. I'm going to grab, well, you know, we can actually just use the blending tool instead. So I've got blending tool soft. I'm going to bring the size up a good ways. That's about where it maxes out. So working my way from the center, I'm just going to start spinning. And then just kind of bring it out. Let me try that. I'm going to do the other one first. This one's a little too soft. Go back to my brushes. I've got these hidden. I'm going to come here. I'm going to go to round and check that one. So I want to just kind of blend where these are touching. Working out. Bigger. And I'm just going to kind of carry this across. In his, he actually puts green in it. I'm just letting some of this blue blend with it. Because people are like, oh, green in the sky? Actually, if you look at a sky, you will see green in it. It's one of the things that'll freak you out when you first start painting. You'll see just all the extra color that is in the world that you've just not noticed. I'm going to grab this yellow. I'm going to come over here. A 1. I'm going to put that right in the middle. Bring my opacity up. I just kind of dump these in here, so I don't have them in order. I actually have a couple of them repeated by accident. Just realized that. Let's go with... we'll just stay with this one. That'll give us kind of that soft. It's got a little bit of brush strokes in here, but it's going to give us some of that softer kind of glow that we want. Make a new layer. Come back over here. Gonna press 4. Just kind of spark like that. And I'm also going to come back to here. I'm going to grab this blue. I'm going to drop it a little bit. Go a little bit darker. The edges and kind of vignette this over here. Press 4. You know, if those are getting in your way, just press tab. It's a little bit easier to paint that way. Okay, press tab again, bring it back. I'm going to merge this one down so they're all one layer. I do have the pigment on, by the way, in case you didn't notice. Alright, so if you don't mind the streakiness here, you can leave it. If you want to change it, you can come over here to Gaussian Blur, put it about maybe 25. You can go way out and really soften it. Depends on how much you want to soften it. You could completely soften it out. I'm going to go with about 25 or so. Grab my tool here. And give it a little bit of this because I don't want the full. Now, if I were painting this one just mine, what I would probably do, and I wasn't trying to recreate, I would grab this cloud brush. I would put it on 4. I would streak some clouds cutting across like so, just by grabbing what's like so. It's very subtle, it's very soft. My brushes here, I'm not sure how. Do this with it and start playing around with the clouds, but we're not doing that. Alright, so we've got some of that background there. I'm not worried about all this down here. Matter of fact, I could just grab this and this. Bring my horizon line down. Hit enter. We could go with maybe a Van Dyke Brown. Now I've got my horizon line that I can mess around with. And because it's on another layer, I can even scrunch it down a little bit. Control D. So next we want to put in our trees. So he's got some of this purplish kind of color, which I think he starts alizarin crimson. So we'll start there too. And we can take tree brush. And just kind of scrunch in. Where some trees live. He's got this one going kind of off the canvas. I'm blending this right here so I can press Alt and select it. Go a little bit darker up here at the top. Then press 4, kind of blend these together a little bit. And grab a new color. Kind of come down. brush. Or purple, probably where it blended with the blue. So I have some of that kind of in. And a little bit bigger tree over here. And he goes a lot darker on that one. And a lot more purple. I'm just going to kind of throw some of these colors around to have some of that same harmony kind of interweave. Now I'm going to come back over here, grab my old brush. Nope, wrong one. Let's go with bush brush. I'm going to come along the edges. I'm going to press 4. I'm just interested in how it looks on the edge here. I'm just trying to pull some of these colors together and blend them a little bit and get some indications of where the leaves are. Again, I'm not trying to completely reproduce his, just trying to go for a similar fill and vibe. I'm going to bring this brown down here into the trees a little bit to kind of pull that together. Kind of similar to that. And I'm actually going to merge these two down now. Like that. Alright, so now we got a similar vibe. A little darker. Now to adjust that, I go on over here to hue saturation. So we lowered the saturation by 10, we increased the lightness by 10, click apply. Come down here on this bottom layer, hue saturation, it's going to remember it, and it's going to say apply again. Right, so now we have kind of that similar tree right here, kind of similar over in here, and then kind of this over in here. All right, so again, not trying to make an exact copy, just trying to say, hey, if you're wanting to get kind of a similar look, here's how you can do it. Back into here, press point, and then that'll bring us back up to full screen like this. All right, so now he's got a lot more yellows in there, and he's got some tree trunks and stuff. So let's bring in some tree trunks and maybe some of this darker color. Something like this. Oops, I'm on the wrong layer. Because you gotta have some dark to make your light show. Soften it down into it. Kind of shape, because this is going to be the core of the tree. Brush over here. Press 4. All right, now we're going to want to bring in some actual leaves. So let's come down here to our leaf brush, and we're going to grab some of that yellow, cadmium yellow, deep. In. I also have these other leaf brushes here. Have more of an actual kind of a leaf. I like to blend these into each other a little bit more. Even going up to this cadmium yellow medium. And press 4. You can use more of a grunge type brush for doing, if you want to have that similar kind of a look that he had. Pressed his brush up into it. Just make sure to leave darker area so I'm breaking through it. Okay. That's saturated, but and then 4. And I like to grab some of this other color to kind of get that reflected light. And the key here is don't lose all your negative space. And really it's the edges that are important for giving you the leaf look. You can see that some of these leaves aren't even attached to anything, but it doesn't matter. The eye will actually attach them. By blending this back and forth, it's able to give that feeling of the light kind of wrapping around. Bring back in some of the dark with it here. You can see I'm just kind of scribbling in these leaves. Okay, something like that. What I like to do too, is I've got this brush down here. And just a hint. They're trees. Color brush that I just imported into this. Something kind of like that. Okay. Grab this speckle one again. Maybe add a little bit of yellow coming back down through here. Brush. And just trying to break up some of the color. Like that. Alright, so I need to put some sticks in here, some tree trunks. So I think I will use smudge stick down here to almost black. That's not going to draw enough that I want, so I'll go to the cat's tongue. Scratch in some limbs. Press 4 and just kind of soften those. Something like that. And let's go a little bit. I'm going to grab a brush. Here's one of the great things about digital. I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to kind of come in here along the edge, paint in some highlights. I'm going to press 4. I'm going to carry those highlights across. Bada boom, Bob's your uncle, blah, blah, blah. You've got, come over here and do the same. Four. You can see up close how these leaf brushes really work. Fantastic. I just want to kind of soften some of these. That carries it off into the foliage. Zoomed out, these look a lot more chaotic than they do up close. Zoom it out. All right. So now we've got, and again, mine's different, but you can definitely see the influence. Okay. And this is 100%. Let me pause this and save it real quick. All right, so I've got this another layer here. We're going to start laying in our path. So his path starts somewhere around in here. And I'm using my mountain knife brush, because this is a pretty good approximation to a palette knife. There are palette knives that you can choose from in Rebelle. And his looks like it comes kind of down us. And then he's got some rocks and stuff over here that kind of come down. So he's kind of got white water in his, so we'll put a little bit shoreline. And this in and around, coming up through here. Erase some of this to kind of lay it in there a little bit better. Okay. Oops. So by smudging this out, you see how it's giving me some nice variation. one of the things I like doing with these brushes. Press 4. In size by hitting my left bracket. And I'm just going to kind of start. I like to build these up in layers, like a parfait, because, you know, who doesn't like a parfait? You ever met anybody that didn't like a parfait? Maybe you're more of an onion person. Just kind of soften it back into the background. Kind of like that. Pull this down and around. My dark color. Alright, I'm going to press 4. I'm going to kind of angle this. Similar to what he had. Okay. Press 1 again. Now if you want to use the palette knife, if you go to flat, knife smooth, knife dry, we can grab the knife right here. Flat thick. But you see how adding that blue gives a little bit more depth and dimension and interest? So if you use a combination of these, like knife grainy, and let's grab that color right there. Let's use the, we can start building in. Quite similar to what he had. And then 4, just kind of soften it into it. And some stones. You grab a little bit of that blue again. It's not just in one spot. Like that. 4, kind of smudge it out. And come back up here. Get my mountain knife. textures. And, you know, I mean, this isn't quite as fast as just taking a palette knife and smearing it on there. It can be, but it depends on how much you want to fuss with it. I'm just kind of cleaning up this edge that'll be my shoreline here in just a second. Zoom out. Brush. Kind of smear some texture around. Then I can come back in. Like so. Yellowish color. New. Just kind of like that. Yeah, let's grab this orangish color up here. Let's bring in press 4. And what I'm kind of soften each other because they're kind of colors. And the fact that one's warmer, one's softer. Bring in some of these bushes. This will kind of set our path. I'm just making a few high spots here where maybe some light is hitting it. And then soften it back. Breaking up some of the silhouettes here. So it's good for that. Alright, so we need to put our water in. Make a new layer under the rocks. I'm going to come here, come across, come down, hit enter. I'm going to right click and drag my, start with a cerulean, and go with this old brush. I'm going to go darker though, maybe Prussian blue. Just kind of fill it in. To a nice dark blue. Then we're going to go to the cerulean, it's bigger. All right. Make it a little bit smaller. Go to the lighter blue. Four. I'm going to grab that blue. Four. Something like that. Okay. Now then I'm going to go lower the opacity. And I'm going to go shift straight across. Shift straight across. Just like that. And that's going to give me some of that watery look. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to grab some of that color. And that's going to make it look fairly calm. If we wanted to add a little bit of movement, just kind of a rocking motion back and forth. Four. Go over and soften it. And then we can come in with a little bit lighter. Control D. Come up here on the rocks. Add a little bit more color to that. Then a shoreline. Maybe a few highlight ripples. It depends if you want it to look mirror smooth or not. Look mirror smooth, then you don't add these ripples. A little bit of movement, you do add them. I'm going to come in here and add a bit of this darker color. Kind of mimic like the waters. The rocks are going down into the water. And then I'm going to go to smudge. I have an undo button on my pen and I just hit it by accident. That's going to make that look like it's down in there a little bit more. So I'm going to jump down here. I'm going to add some more leaves over here. I'll go with the bush brush. These difference mainly between these leaf brushes are a lot of it's the spacing. They do have some other differences, but that's one of the main things they have. Now the last thing I need to do is he's got another tree in the front here. So let's add that fella. And looks like it's coming right out of here. The cat's dog. Maybe like that. And then let's add some color. Let's make this fella pop. That'll kind of work for our base. Let's come back down here to our leaves. Kind of bring some of those around. Actually, I'm going to zoom in. more darkness in here. He's got a little bit more shadow in his. And a little bit of orange. So just trying to build up some layers here. And I'm going to grab we'll go with the impasto. And we'll go with that color. Kind of bring this around. Something like that. We might take the same color and add just a few high spots to some of the rocks. Something like that. And then I'm going to add just a few with the cat's tongue. Gonna add just a few bits and bubbles. That likes a little more interest and pulls you into the painting just a little bit better. Zoom in a little bit. Press 4. Kind of blend those down a little bit. Just kind of capture some of these hint of reflections here. So there's mine. There's Bob's. 100% accurate to his, but it's okay. Like I said, I'm just trying to do something that's similar, you know, that kind of has some of the same feel and same vibe. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.